Well, some of you are probably wondering why I am starting this review with an empty shot of the inch grid and an open shot with just my hands visible. Well, first thought you might have is, why is TJ suddenly ripping off Ashen's review style? And I'll tell you, this is not ripping him off.
This is ripping off an Ashen's review.
Actually, this time I picked a review subject which is actually far, far too big to ever fit onto this board in any way. Well, at least in its current form, and there's a very good reason why. And here is that reason. What you are looking at is Kre-O Optimus Prime completely disassembled and laid out in color-coded piles. What you have here is an enormous Lego-style set, 542 pieces to be exact. What I can review on the normal stage are the crayons that come with this particular set. Finally, Optimus Prime can fly the Millennium Falcon, or you could have Starscream go to Hogwarts. God, that just depressed me really badly for some reason. Okay, let's just take a look here. Now, yeah, they look exactly like Lego men. They've got the little half-loop hands, they've got the little heads, they're very blocky, little blocky feet, all that. Where they actually have a huge advantage, though, aside from, well, they look like Transformers, is they are very well articulated for Lego men. And aside from the usual, okay, the wrists do swivel because they're pegged in, and because it's pegged on, the head turns. Though, whether or not the face inside the helmet turns along with the helmet is going to vary. As you can see here, his head actually is pegged on tighter than the helmet is. Now, not all of them do that. That just goes... That's the luck of the draw, pretty much. It depends on the molding that day. You've got ball-jointed shoulders, which allow a far wider range of motion than you normally are accustomed to. Also, ball-jointed hips as well. The one that really gets to me? Waist. Since these aren't conforming to Lego traditions, the waists also rotate. So, actually, these things are pretty freaking posable. Let's see, so, that's Optimus Prime. Well, let me show you. You get 5 in all. There's Sky Warp. Of course, the most expensive set does come with the best and coolest looking Seeker, though he's got something a little strange about him. Like, he does get his arm guns, the null rays and all that, and it's very well detailed. You get the wings, which are a separate piece. Technically, you could put those on Optimus, too, if you wanted to. I don't get why his feet are metallic. That's literally the only piece of metallic paint on the whole thing. The crayon, the set, anything. They just randomly did his toenails. I don't know why. It's a little odd, a little confusing. And here we have Blue Streak. Well, clearly he's actually designed after Smokescreen, but the instructions say he's Blue Streak, and damn it, I want them to keep a hold of that name because I really like that name. We got that trademark back recently, we're going to use it. As you can see, just like Prime, he comes with his own little gun. So, he can be kind of snarky and smirky while he shoots people. All of them feature pretty much the exact same articulation and same design. What you're probably wondering about are the little human companions. Well, for Prime, stay upright. They come in 2 flavors, blue with red and red with blue. So these are kind of like, these are a little bit like your Mario Brothers in that sense. They each come with a matching baseball cap, or they come with racing helmets, depending on your flavor for the day or what they are doing. Though I will say, design-wise, it's a little creepy to have Lego men with flesh-colored parts. But those two, or well, technically any of these, because they can all hold them, get a really wide range of little accessories that they can actually use in their little hands. There you've got a little shovel, you've got a little bit of a rescue axe there. Well, if you want defensive, they have a gun they can use. There's a socket wrench. Well, you got wire cutters here. You've got another wrench, monkey type this time. A hammer as well. And, okay, it's either a riding crop or is a fireplace poker. I don't know. Now, before the building process begins, I will give you not 1, but 2 pieces of advice. Number 1. Don't sticker any Autobot symbols until you have completely built the vehicle and or robot mode. This is true for both instances, not just one or the other. That's because the instructions like to make you sticker just about every piece you see here. So you're going to end up with an abundance of Autobot symbols if you're not watching what you are doing. My best suggestion, just wait till the vehicle mode is built, pick one good spot for the Autobot logo to go, and settle for that. 2, I would recommend reading through these instruction books first. Yes, instruction books. You get one for vehicle mode and one for robot and base mode. And these are relatively the size of a Ford Mustang. Seriously, I've had phone books that aren't this big. I mean, a lot of this seems unnecessary. Like, do I really need a whole step that shows me how to put those 2 blocks together? Or a whole step showing me where to put that one block? But my second word of advice is to read through this beforehand. Make sure you can tell the colors apart, especially on all the gray tones. You can see here, the darkest piece is supposed to be black, but you also have dark gray and light gray to compete with. Also, there is metallic gray as well. That out of the way, let's see if I can't go about building this thing. BRB. As you build, you're going to start to notice the instructions asking for parts and colors that you don't have available, but this is okay. It looks like a few of the parts change color in between production and when the instructions were written. Make sure you do not have the part in the color it's asking for before using a closest approximation. If it's asking for a light gray, use a silver. Don't worry, you're not doing anything wrong and there are no parts missing. Trust it, you'll be fine. Okay, so even though I've already built it once before, it still took me 3 hours. Okay, alright, fine. This is no big deal. But I want you to understand, that is not a complaint. Not in the least. Okay, at this point in the review, here's what I want everyone to do. Stop viewing this as a transformer. Okay, I know that's very strange considering you're looking at a red and blue semi-truck adorned with Autobot logos, but trust me on this. Don't view this as a transformer. View this as a licensed Lego set, because in essence, that is exactly what it is. It just isn't made by Lego. But pretty much you have the same playability, and with that in mind, the 3 hours it took to build was a very fun 3 hours, and the result of which is a very beefy, very nice looking semi-truck that's very Lego-esque. Very solidly built. I mean, everything on here is pretty firm. I don't think anything's actually going to fall off of this thing. You can see it's red and blue. It makes a nice little blend of the G1 and movie Optimus Primes. Even have some of the vintage striping on here instead of the flames, which I'm happy to see. As you can see, there are 3 Autobot logos on him, as I warned you. Yeah, this is what happens when they get carried away, which we'll get to in a bit once you see the trailer. Both sides pretty much identical. Rubber wheels, so it rolls very, very well. I know a lot of collectors will be happy with that. The front end and the grille, all metallic. You can see the clear parts for the headlights. And here in the back, a little bit of vintage Optimus Prime decals, just like those rear sections would turn into his robot mode legs. As for functionality, let's see what we got here. In one part that amuses me, you can actually adjust the rear view mirrors, which I thought was kind of fun. Opening doors and everything. I'm not sure if I can get a good shot inside there. Here, hang on, let me make my best attempt at this. Yeah, not a whole lot I can do here. The angle's really bad here. You can see the seat inside. We'll make it work any way we can. You can see the seat inside. There is a lever and a wheel. And before anyone asks, yes, you have to remove the wheels on his legs, and it takes a little bit of fiddling since he's not a perfect fit. But if you so choose, Kre-O Optimus Prime can drive Kre-O Optimus Prime. I have just inceptioned Optimus Prime. I have to admit, that is amusing. Let's talk about the trailer now, shall we? Now, due to the size, this is going to be something of a trick to film. You can see just how long the trailer is. Oh, and you'll excuse mine. Unfortunately, mine came mismolded. I haven't gotten around to having Hasbro ship me a replacement part yet. So, yeah, it's got a gimp wheel. So yours won't. So that's just my bad luck. You can see this turns into a pretty freaking huge, semi-truck. Not bad considering how rarely they do trailers these days. As you can see, pretty standard. It's got the classic G1 details here. Another Autobot logo there. Another Autobot logo on top. That one's not necessary. And another Autobot logo here. And a detail that somewhat amuses me. Optimus Prime has his name as his license plate, just in case he forgets who he is. Alright, let's open this up and inevitably readjust the framing to fit the whole thing in. It pegs in here, and this acts as something of a lock, so it's a little bit of fiddling in order to safely unpeg it without breaking the whole thing apart. That's just the slight consequence that comes with being a little bit Lego-y. Okay. Oh, well, not a bad shot there. You have the entire base mode, which unfolds just like the classic G1 trailer. In here, you have something of a command base. A little bit of decal in the inside for monitors and such. A lot of little clip holders here. That's for storing all the crayon tools. And, well, yeah, that's pretty much it, really. They do give you something to place inside the trailer. A pair of jet motorcycles. Or something Tron-based, something. I wouldn't see these on the road, pretty much. Again, rubber tires, so they roll well, and actually pretty good balance because the tires are just wide enough. It's a little bit tight, but you can park two of them inside. A lot of little playability going on here. And speaking of, let's try this. You saw me assembling this a little bit separately from the rest, so I'm going to show you what it does now. Actually unfolds into a separate command base with little panels that fold out, little things that fold up, and you have a little tiny base for your Kre-Os. Now, the doors on the side work, but of course there's so much stuffed in there, it's really just for detail at this point. Little tiny command base, little tiny ports, pretend there's computers in there, whatnot, etc. A lot more you can do with this than meets the eye. Oh, I just realized what I did there. Oh well. Surprisingly little waste is going on here, and it breaks down into 4 categories. Number 1 are the parts that have absolutely no use in vehicle mode whatsoever, and you wouldn't expect them to. These include the robot mode fists, the orange road cones that will be used in base mode later on, and the big one, Optimus Prime's head. Second group are these longer parts, which are actually used a little bit more effectively. You can use these to shore up any panels on this from the inside that are a little bit loose for your liking. Group 3 are these, a ton of little tiny pieces, which I'm actually not sure why they left out, because these are actually really useful. And we get to the final group, the ones that are absolutely unusable. These are the only ones I consider to be a total waste in vehicle mode and have no reason for being so. 5. Just 5 parts. Everything else is usable or shouldn't have been used in the first place. So, I think that's pretty freaking good. All around, very well done vehicle mode. And, of course, we're not done yet. I have to break this thing down now, don't I? Boy. I hope you appreciate this. This thing is taking forever to review. So, let's see how long this one takes me.
This set does the one thing that I cannot stand, stacking identical flat blocks on top of each other. They're almost impossible to get apart. For those non-Lego people, the trick here is a straight-edge razor blade to get between them. Don't use a fingernail, you're just going to damage the corners of the blocks. Though for younger viewers, this is a task best left to a parent.
Between sorting, assembly, photography, reviewing, deconstructing, reconstructing, rephotographing, and now back to this review, I never imagined it would ever take me 7 hours to get to the robot mode portion of a toy. Now, once again, it's not a complaint. It was a fun 3 hours. In fact, I caught up with my Doctor Who in the meantime. However, that is a completely different subject. we are here to talk about this gigantic Optimus Prime. You can tell it's gigantic because of the handy-dandy inchboard behind him. I mean, that grid isn't just there to look pretty, that shows you how big all the Toys R Review are. But I guess you'll be wanting a size comparison of some kind. After all, he is pretty towering here, so just this once, I'll give you what you're after. There we have the Revenge of the Fallen leader Optimus Prime in his original incarnation. You can see the Kre-O lacks the bulk, but it actually has a little bit more height to him. Here you can also see a lot of the movie aesthetics that made it over to the set. Now, just because they're inherently Lego block in design, he actually comes out looking like a very G1 styled movie Prime. You've still got the split windshields and these red pieces that are coming down. The doors are hanging off the side of his chest, albeit much flatter. You got some of the same design elements with these silver pipes, and you have the smokestacks sticking up in the back in the same spots. And I think one of the reasons why he reminds me so much of a G1 toy is that head sculpt. That is a classics Optimus Prime head. There's no doubt about that. Clearly you see where it got its inspiration from. The weird thing about this, it's made of soft plastic. It's the only part on the entire toy that's actually composed of the soft plastic. You also do get something of an action feature, because if you take a close look at these smokestacks, you'll notice a ball joint right in the middle, akin to the pressure-launched missile launchers that we are so used to by now. You have a standard, what you'd really think of as a normal Lego brick, with a missile launcher in it. Because isn't that what all standard Lego bricks require? It's a pressure launch, so its firing length depends on just how hard you press it. So I'm not going to do that because I have no idea where it's going to fly off to, and I don't want to have to stop the review just to go get it. Needless to say, he does come with some firepower, which is cool. Now, I was going to mention the colors a little bit. This is where he definitely looks Lego-y, isn't it? Now, you do have the Prime color scheme going here. I mean, the legs are primarily blue, the upper body is primarily red. However, you do have some confusion in the part layouts. You can see blacks, silvers, grays, reds, and blues all mixed into his arms, and you can see the same thing going on with the legs, which, yeah, you can definitely tell movie inspired there. For the most part, the colors work. It gets the colors where they need to be, but it is very much homegrown Lego-y. This looks like something you could build out of normal Legos if you started running out of the right colored blocks. Largely, this is because the vehicle mode was given priority when it came to the color layout. Not a bad thing, considering he's supposed to be disguised as one, and, well, he would look rather silly with random gray blotches in between red and blue bricks. So, it's a little give and a little take, but I think it worked out for the best. He still looks alright. What you're probably wondering most about is how he stands up as an action figure, since, we are still suffering build-to-rule memories where, the action was seriously taken out of that term. And figure, in my opinion, but we'll get to that another day. Actually, the articulation's not bad on him. He's got 13 points, which doesn't seem like much considering, well, he's a giant toy, but it's all meaningful and it's almost all ball joints. In fact, the only swivel is in the wrist, which is kind of important because of some of the few limitations it has. You do have full ball joints. They're very stiff. That might wear down over time, but mileage may vary, etc., that kind of thing. Got it in the, you do have it in the elbow as well. You do need to rotate it to get it to bend completely, though. Because of the way the hinge is shaped, you can only get so much bend while the arm is straight. So he does have to kind of barbell it, but at least his hands can swivel to make up for it. Fully ball-jointed hips. A ball-jointed knee, though, it doesn't really have to do much besides move back. And the ankles do tilt. I'm actually quite impressed with it action figure-wise. Now, of course, because, he's made of bricks, the proportions are a little odd. His head is very tiny, for example. I would have preferred it to be a little bit bigger than that. And his shoulders do set a little low, though with a little careful and clever engineering, you could probably fix that. I'll give you a shot at the back, too, and all the tires that they strap to his butt. That's just in case he has to sit down really fast. All in all, pretty nice. I mean, I'm happy with it. I mean, it's far better than I was expecting. Let's put it that way. With all that said and out of the way, let's move on to the final piece of this little piece former. While Optimus Prime is in full robot glory, you can use a lot of the extra parts to build this base, which you can tell is Optimus Prime's base. Clever naming, guys. And as you can see, you do have a little bit going on here in the front. We finally used those road cones. Okay, and this is a bit of a cop-out in my opinion, but they use the extra tires to form a couple little barriers that you can use to kind of fortify the defenses of this base. They're nothing much to speak about, so we'll just get them out of the way. We'll also get these out of the way since we've already talked the motorcycles. They continue to be cool in this mode. Let's turn this thing around so you can really see what's going on here. I've already put our Kre-O Mario Brothers in here just to give you an example of what's going on. You know, we'll call this one Mario, and this one will be Squidgy. As you can see, Mario and Squidgy have their own little computer terminal in here, which you can see this was the stickered part in the trailer mode. Ooh, techie. If you want, you can also raise and lower this, which gives you a little bit more of a profile. It doesn't go too far in either direction, but a little bit to vary your styles and whatnot. You can see the red clips return, and I have taken the liberty of loading them up with Kre-O tools. So, you have a little bit of storage here as well. Then you've just got this big empty space for holding more Kre-Os or for holding the bikes. Now, that's pretty much it for the base mode. It's pretty much just something for the Kre-Os to do while you enjoy the robot. Unfortunately, the downside of this is how many parts you have left over. I'm not going to make up any rules to excuse any of these parts. This time you've got almost 50 that go unused. That is a little bit less forgivable. However, you might not see it as a downside, because by its nature, this base mode is ripe for expansion. And the leftover parts are actually really quite good at doing this. Yeah, it gets a little ridiculous when it's piled up like that. I just want to make a visual example of this. You do have a lot of parts that you can still build onto the base with. You can add doors. You can use those barriers in conjunction with these to have more of a back wall setup that's very much Autobot themed. That way you've got a little bit more of a longer, more of a playset feel to it rather than just a static command base. You can also extend out the floor to hold more Kre-Os, or even make it wide enough to fit some of the smaller Kre-O sets in vehicle mode. There is a lot of option here. Now, you might say this is lazy by the designers for not doing it themselves. At the same time, I kind of feel that it's something of an advantage. You have a already fairly okay base mode here, and it's fairly basic, which just kind of begs to be added onto. That's the nice thing about these being so Lego-like. Your imagination is the only limit. God, that line is corny. But I'm going to roll with it anyway, because it's absolutely true. I mean, the first time I put this thing together, I used a bunch of these to create my own CR chamber. Folds down and up and everything. Yeah, maybe it is a cop-out by the designers to leave this many parts unused. Maybe it was a good thing. Gives you a chance to spread your wings. They give you the starting point, you fill in the rest however you want. Or I might just be trying to upsell this thing as much as I can. I'm not quite sure which. Either way, there are pluses and minuses, and it's up to you to decide which way it goes. Now the big question, is it worth the $65 price point for this large-scale Prime Kre-O set? That all depends, now doesn't it? If you're looking for a Transformer that has some LEGO playability to it, you're going to be disappointed. Fact is, adding transformation elements to a LEGO set results in things like build to rule, and we don't want that to happen again. It's just too complex. But if you're a fan of licensed LEGO sets, you are going to be thrilled with this. Why? Well, in preparation for this review, I did a little bit of investigative market research. And by that I mean I went through the LEGO aisle at Walmart. LEGO sets selling for the same price, say Star Wars for example, have roughly the same part count, and while they will have instructions for building one vehicle out of those parts, here you get two, and they are two completely different toys. Unlike a lot of LEGO sets you build, put up, and then forget about for months on end, this you actually have incentive to take apart and rebuild. Might be a little tedious, but you do get a lot more out of it than you do, say, tearing down a Millennium Falcon. You know, you're just going to rebuild it into a Millennium Falcon at some point. At least here you have options. At this point, I want to give a huge shout out to SilverMoon551, who busted his ass to help me get a hold of this one. He was curious whether or not Kre-O was just going to be another build-to-rule disaster, and I was wondering the same thing. So, hopefully, we have both discovered, no, these things are far, far superior. You're getting a lot more bang for your buck with sets like this. And this review has already gone on way too long, so let's end it here now. Hopefully, if you were wondering whether or not this should be on your Christmas list, you've still got time to add it on. And if you already put it on there, you might be looking forward to it a little bit more now. At least I hope.